Hello everyone, welcome to E3 2019. I'm here with none other than the one, the only, Mike Pondsmith. How are you doing today, sir?
Actually, I'm a clone of Mike Pondsmith, but
Crap.
at any rate, I'm doing fine, y'all.
Awesome. I know you're pretty exhausted. It's later in E3 right now. And
Yeah,
interviews.
And it's been a really, really crazy E3, everybody. I wish you were here because it's been amazing.
Yeah, I, not that long ago, went behind closed doors and saw the presentation. First of all, how long ago did you see that presentation?
This one today? I actually saw prototypes of it probably about a month ago.
Okay.
But remember, game design is really iterative, particularly video game design. So we never really know for sure what we see in that earlier state is going to be the final.
Right, of course.
And so when I saw it, that would be 2 days ago, it was, wow, okay. Well, for example, the first trailer last year, I told you it was a good trailer, by the way. Yes. Well, that would have been shippable by a lot of the companies I work for. We were going, damn, yeah, that's shippable. This is like a quantum leap. I was looking at some of the stuff they're doing, the texturing, the backgrounds, the light, the specular highlights. It was like insane. And I said, okay, I'm not sure we can get much better than this.
And then
yeah, and then it does. Yeah, they do it. They keep pulling it.
Now, when you got that call from CD Projekt Red to say, hey, we want to make a game out of your creation, what was that like? How long ago was this?
Well, that would be 6 years ago, according to what Lise told me the other day. 6 years ago, and there's some interesting backstory to it. Cyberpunk has been optioned for video games for years. I mean, it got to be a joke. Well, a bunch of people are going to give us a bunch of money. They're never going to make anything. Or they're going to give us a bunch of money and they're going to make something terrible.
Right.
So, we kind of didn't take it that seriously, but the money was nice. So what happened was somewhere, I guess it would have been about the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, we were approached by somebody who wanted to do Cyberpunk in Polish. And I said, Polish? And Lisa said, yeah, they want to do this in Polish. And I said, yeah, that'll sell for about 7 people. Because remember, this is before the Iron Curtain has gone down. So I'm thinking, they're smuggling it on muleback or something, and they're guards, and, it was pretty bad. As one of the guys here used to say, we had communism and we had cyberpunk. Thank you for choosing Cyberpunk. So basically what happened was the 7 guys who must have bought Cyberpunk happened to have started CDPR. And so after they finished Witcher 2, they said, what are we going to do next? And somebody said, well, let's find out where Cyberpunk is available. We played it, as kids. And so they called us up again and said, yeah, we want to, do Cyberpunk. And I said, okay, that'll be interesting. Now, you have to understand, I've been working at Microsoft where one of my jobs was to fly out to different studios around the world and find out how they're doing in progress and so forth. So I dealt with studios that were behind what had been the Iron Curtain at that point. And so, as I said, I figured they're going to be like, 15 guys in one room, typing on old Mac 2Es or something, and a goat. Somehow there's always a goat mentally in this, all right?
Okay, sure.
So they'd be seeing the goat like, come in. So I get there, and CD is this really modern, incredibly capable company, and they've got tools that, I would have quit my Microsoft job and, gone over there and said, hey, can I play with your stuff? And they're going, we want you to do your game. And I'm going, well, okay, you can do it. I can see that. Oh, and we have this thing, Witcher 2, that we'd like you to take a look at. Well, yeah, you can do that. And by the way, if we do this, we want to put Alt and Johnny and all these other characters in, and we have to have this, and there'll be Arasaka. And I said, you guys are fanboys, aren't you? And I said, well,
A little bit.
So I have a bunch of incredibly competent fanboys who want to do my game. Yeah, damn. Let's do this.
And in Poland, was Cyberpunk 2020 popular?
I guess so.
Yeah,
I mean, we sold. Well, see, the thing is, it was a license, so we, of course, saw licensing fees, but it wasn't something we could track very easily. But it seems like it was pretty damn popular.
Yeah, I mean, it reached CD Projekt Red. They played it as children. And now...
Hopefully, they played as teenagers. I don't want to think I'm that old.
Okay, there we go. And yeah, here we are. Yeah, it's crazy how...
It's really crazy.
Yeah. Now, Keanu Reeves is... That's a crazy announcement right there.
That was crazy.
You've had this character in your head for so many years now.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing Keanu Reeves there on screen saying these lines with the arm and everything.
Yeah.
What does that feel like for you? Does that feel right?
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. You got to remember, Johnny is not a character I play. He is a character in my world. In the same way as, J.K. Rowling isn't role-playing Harry Potter. Yeah, but she knows how Harry operates and, his likes and dislikes. And Johnny goes through a long progression arc as a war-wounded, PTSD kind of hammered dude who finds his outlet in rock. And so he is very internal, and he is very driven. And not always the nicest guy by a long shot. Particularly, ladies, as I've said in other interviews, do not think about having a relationship with Johnny Silverhand. He will break your heart. I've forbidden my daughter to have a relationship with Johnny Silverhand. So the upshot is I saw what he did. And Keanu basically got that internalism and got sort of I'm fed up with the fact that I can't change the world really well. Yeah. And so I watched that. I said, I hadn't really thought exactly that because I never thought that would ever happen. But yeah, damn, it works. I haven't met him yet.
Really?
I came down and he'd already we were there long for him to go on stage, do his appearance, say hi. And but basically they had recorded a lot of the stuff before I even come. And then I have been just unbelievably busy over at Talsorian, so I couldn't have seen him anyway if we even had time. I figure sooner or later everyone says, yeah, sooner or later it'll happen,
Okay.
But we're kind of busy.
Sure.
Although I'm kind of amused with the idea that, I'm going to bring my guitar, I'll bring my bass, he can bring his bass, we can rip off,
Wow, you guys need to record that.
Yeah, that could be can you imagine the two of us doing, Never Fade Away?
Yes.
That would be fun.
Oh, yeah. Now, Johnny Silverhand, his role in this game is interesting.
Right.
I saw in the trailer that he kind of phased in and out a little bit. And I immediately figured, is Johnny Silverhand in our heads? And I guess that would make sense given the amount of time that has passed since 2020. So, what can you tell us about
that's
in 2077?
There is an idea in Voodoo of writing the Loa, basically of the gods or the spirits basically inhabiting or at least being with you and guiding you. There's a lot of that in how Johnny works. He is there as a guide. He is there using you in many cases to achieve a goal he wants to have, and that death wouldn't have stopped. Now, the funny part is people assume Johnny should be like 95 years old, and they forget the fact that we're talking about a future time that was already gotten body modification. And so people don't die at 60. Life expectancy, it's more like about 120, 140 for the far end. If you got the money, you live longer, and that's part of the inequity of that world. So, Johnny could be a really good-looking 50, and you wouldn't see it. There's another thing. Everybody assumes because of the last act of the book Firestorm, which is the corporate war last book, that Johnny dies because of the line, he's dead, Johnny's dead. Nobody ever stopped to look at the body. They just assumed. I did that on purpose.
Okay, so you've known this all along?
Johnny could have been around. There is no one sees. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff. One of the things we love to do is bury things in the books we write. For example, for those people who are fans of Cyber Generation, where the carbon plague came from is actually in other books, and it's scattered throughout the Cyberpunk timeline. But you got to look for it.
So if we play through 77 and look back at the books, will we be able to find certain things?
Oh, yeah. In fact, what we're doing, because we have unified the timelines, one of the fun things we're doing is Cyberpunk Red, which is the project that my company is doing. Yeah, the next edition. Think of it as Cyberpunk. We like to think of it as kind of like a comic book with arcs, or like Star Wars. So 2013 would be Star Wars.
I see.
2020 is roughly kind of Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, but Red is actually more of our Empire Strikes Back, because it's the bridger where a lot of big arcs get resolved, and then 77 is Return of the Jedi. So what we're doing is we're tying those together, and one of the reasons why we have Red appearing farther along than later in the year than we expected was so we can coordinate all this.
Sure.
So we can, for example, say, oh, so you want to have this place be burned out and horrible in 2077. What if we show it in Red back when it was new? What if this character, we have characters, for example, who when you see them in 77 will be like, 50 or 60, who are like, 20 or younger, that are being set up in Red. And you're going to go, oh, so that's how that character fits into things further on.
What year is it in Red?
Red is, the reason it's called Red as opposed to a date, is it's based on what we call the Age of the Red, and which has its own story we'll get into one day. But the upshot is it's about a period of time. The events take place and they're too long to give a date to. Generally speaking, we say the Age of the Red is late 30s to mid 40s.
I see.
But it's, kind of like we're talking about an entire period of things that happen.
So you don't want to tie it down to one specific year. You want to give players room to...
Players have room because we have evolutions of things.
I see.
Stuff that you're going to see in 77 had to come from somewhere.
Sure, yes.
So, for example, we have weapons in 77 that would not have happened back in 2020. But we do weapons for some of the new books in Red that are the antecedents of those weapons.
Oh, okay.
So you look at it and you go, oh, okay, so you had this over here, but yeah, there's a primitive version there, and there's this guy in a garage who's made the first one.
Right.
And so everybody looks at it and goes, okay, this all goes together.
I see. Now, back to Johnny.
Yeah.
Is he someone, because a lot of people are thinking he's in your head, but is he a character? Is he conscient, or is he
You mean sentient?
a projection
Yeah.
of your mind?
I can't answer it.
Okay, fair enough. But that's something.
But let's put it this way. If he's a projection in your mind, he's a really annoying one sometimes.
Yeah. But I saw some of the lines that Keanu did for you guys. He's a snarky mofo.
He's a snarky mofo. Yeah, well, this is a man who has seen it, done it, and it didn't work out a lot of times. And he's going, when are you guys going to get your shit together?
Right.
And so, yeah, this is a man on a mission.
Sure.
And part of it is he's kind of looking at it going, I didn't get it done. I need to get it done now.
Awesome. I see. Now, I want to talk a bit about classes. I learned in this new demo that some of the classes, like corporate and whatnot, are being implemented into the life path rather than being directly implemented as a class because of the fluid class system.
Yeah. Fluid class system came about originally when we looked at it. We were going to do, the classes, and we were trying to figure out what classes we'd have. And actually, that was partially, I think it was Adam and I and some other people came up with the idea that instead of treating classes as hard things, they became areas. So, in fact, I remember I have somewhere in my stuff, I have a drawing of a Venn diagram of how they cross.
Okay.
And the idea was that you wanted to have that fluidity instead of locking people down into one class. Because in life, we play a lot of different roles. So the fluid class system is the outgrowth of that, and it's really nice.
I see.
Because we had roles, because at the time when I wrote 2013, no one knew anything about this stuff. There was no cyberpunk stuff out there. So I had to teach people what the tropes and the ideas were about cyberpunk. So we boiled them down into very distinct roles that you could go, okay, so I'm the guy who shoots everybody. I must be a solo. I'm the guy who shoots people and feels bad and I take them to jail. You're a cop. I'm the guy who wants to drive the fast cars in the AV4s. You're a nomad, and so forth. And that was to help people have a structure that they could then role play within. So we don't have that in 77 because, one, people now understand the tropes, and two, what 77 allows us to do is show that fluidity that people have. That they have different roles, they have different choices, and that some of the roles are more like where you came from, what your background was, than a role. It becomes more of a determination of history, and you'll see that in life path systems as well in the game.
Yeah, I noticed that certain dialogue options
Unlock.
would unlock if you had a corporate history,
Right.
or something along those lines.
Right, and that was part of the whole life path idea. We really liked the idea that, it was going to affect you in terms of your background and how that structure of your background open opportunities. If you're a street kid, you know how to get around the street. If you're a corporate kid, you don't. But if you're a corporate kid, you know the ways of manipulating using power.
Right. And the ways of business and all these different elements in this world. Now, what about the gangs in Cyberpunk? I know a couple of them now. We have seen...
I love Maelstrom, by the way. Oh, I love Maelstrom.
Last demo.
I love Maelstrom. Maelstrom is great. And Dum Dum did nothing wrong.
We have also the Voodoos introduced in this demo.
Yes, the Voodoo Boys. What I love about the Voodoo Boys, I love them, is that I have been trying to get more of a sense of also African American or African cultures in there, and where they took them was to really make it more religious as well, and I think that's just awesome.
Right.
One of my associates, one of the guys who works with me, he was later on talking to some people who were of Caribbean descent. Where were they from, Jay?
They were from Haiti.
They were from Haiti. And Haiti or Trinidad, and they were listening to discussions, where the Voodoo Boys are talking, and they went, "Yeah, we understand that. That's our language," and they nailed it.
That's awesome.
And I looked at the church and went, "Yeah, that's the sort of church I've seen." And there's, clothing styles and things that people are doing that tell me this is a different culture in the cyberpunk culture. So, some people kind of gone, well, I'm not sure about this. Maybe it's offensive. I'm going, no, man, this is covering something that we need to do. It's cool.
Sure.
We're
going to see more, a lot of people have been asking, are we going to see the Bozos?
The Bozos.
Looking fellows, yeah.
Yeah, actually, when we did the Bozos, the weird part was that nobody at that point had come up with Insane Clown Posse. So nobody had done that yet. So, actually, confession, my wife created the Bozos, and that tells you something. Yeah, my wife created some of the weirdest gangs in Cyberpunk, and this has led to people saying online, your wife is a really weird person. I said, yes, and a very dangerous person. So,
one last question. What are you most excited about in terms of Cyberpunk 2077 that other people should look forward to?
Playing it.
Playing it?
Yeah.
Anything specific about it that
I want to go take every single, even though I know the script, I want to go down every damn path in there, of which there's a ridiculous number, and I want to go find out what wraps. I'll sum it up like this. Last year, we had the opening where we meet Jackie and we meet V and we travel around. There was a scene where I'm waiting for Jackie to show up with his car, and I'm on a street corner in Watson. And there's a guy, and he's talking about something going down with his girlfriend. And because of the way it's third person, you don't have to turn, first person. You don't have to turn to see it. You're just kind of like listening to it. Right. And I listened to the story, it was some random dialogue thing, but I said, I really want to know what the heck is going to happen. And I realized that I had this entire city that I could walk around and I could overhear everybody's conversations, what they were doing, and uncover all these stories. And I said, when it's done, I'm going to do the adventures, but I'm also going to go travel this world.
That sounds like a plan.
It's a plan.
Thank you very much.
And I'm going to take a camera with me,
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
It's a pleasure. Yeah. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you again. We had a little chat last time. Sat down for reals.
And have a chance.
And it's been great. Well, thank you so much, folks. I hope you enjoyed
Thank you, guys.
I hope you are enjoying my coverage of E3 2019. Send Mike here some love. Cyberpunk Red, that's coming out.
The Jumpstart will be coming out at Gen Con.
Okay, Gen Con.
So check in on Gen Con with us, as well as action figures and Lord only knows whatever else. We're still kind of keeping track of everything. So
good.
join us. It'll be fun.
Sounds good. And with that, I will see you guys next time. Yong out.